Well, we met when I responded to a Guardian personal ad. And
I placed the ad when I was about 33 years old, and it read, "Black as the Devil" was the headline, followed up with "Hot as hell, pure as an angel, sweet as love. It's not just a recipe for coffee, it's what I look for in a man."
And it was, at a time pre-internet in terms of matchmaking sites and so forth. And so it was a very unique ad, and I loved what it said, so I responded. The way the Guardian worked is you left a phone message, and so it was all in the woman's hands. She had all the, control, and so she called back. I was actually in Philadelphia at the time. I was still living in the Bay Area, but I was in Philadelphia for about a year. So we talked on the phone, I think about 30 days, maybe 2 months, I'm not sure.
Around a month.
Yeah, about a month before we first met. So we started talking, I think almost every day, and probably for an hour or so each day.
At least.
At least. We would have spent at least, 60 hours, I think, on the phone before we first met. I was living in a house in Coma, and we just set a date and time to go out for dinner. And so it was the first time we had, I don't think we had even exchanged pictures at that time. So it was the first time we got to see each other, and she stopped by the house. I definitely loved what I saw, and didn't know her reaction at the time, and we just went out for dinner.
I was hemorrhaging with anticipation, I think, up to that point, because we had talked on the phone so much, and we were already in love over the phone, and I was so nervous about meeting him because I knew that if we were not attracted to each other, it was actually going to be a tragedy. So, but when I met him, I was very pleasantly surprised. I was immediately drawn to him.
We went to dinner that night. Didn't have much of an appetite for maybe obvious reasons, so I didn't really eat that much. I don't even remember where we went to dinner. I know she remembers.
We went to a restaurant in the Castro district called La Mediterranee.
That was our first date, and it was a great date. We had I think we just had dinner, we talked a lot, and then I think she picked me up, so she drove me back home, and then she went back to her place. We dated for a couple of years before we got married. And Gretchen, I think, had some doubts that we would get married, but I actually had written a letter to her the day we met, basically explaining that if she ever got this letter, it's because, I knew that day that we were going to get married and that I was in love with her, and so I sort of wrote a love letter the very first day we met, and I just sealed it and gave it to her 2 years later, the day I proposed.
And he also told me that he had written a letter to me the day we met, so I knew it was out there. He wouldn't let me have it. And of course it drove me crazy, knowing that there was a letter out there. We've been married for almost 13 years. I knew Carrie was the one the moment I laid eyes on him.
Well, I knew the first day we met. I mean, if you could read the letter, you would have seen I think it was several pages that I wrote, and it was a very heartfelt expression of my fondness and love for her, and what I felt that moment I saw her, and what I felt that evening that we had dinner together. So I had very strong emotions for her, and so I just put them down on paper as soon as I felt them. I think we went out to dinner, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and I had the letter in hand, and I think I gave you the letter and asked you to read it, if my memory is correct.
Yes.
And in the letter, it said that if I'm giving you this letter, it's because I'm asking you to marry me.
I read the letter in front of him. I was elated, and I believe I answered yes right then. And then I forgot the letter when we left the restaurant. Had to go back, and they had to retrieve it from the trash can. I was flustered and excited, just as he couldn't remember a lot about how he proposed. I walked off without the letter, but I did get it back.
Gretchen is a very kind soul. Like this morning, she went to some clinic in Half Moon Bay because a young teenage boy at Cunha has leukemia. So she went to do a bone marrow sample. So she does a lot of things like that. Her volunteerism, her respect for the environment, her love of children, just her humanity is definitely much greater than mine. Her compassion, her empathy. So that's one thing. I also love her artistic taste, the way she changes her own look, the way she changes the house. She's really great with the two boys, and the way she is really focused on them being good citizens and being good people, as well as the obvious care and feeding. And she's very sweet to me. So all of those things.
The best thing about Carrie for me is his very even temperament. He's a very bright man. He is able to get to the nut of any issue, and it's a quality I admire. He's also pretty foxy, and he's been an excellent provider and a good husband.
Having kids requires some adjustment in terms of your relationship, because it changes the dynamics. Suddenly there's 4 people instead of 2 people. I think it's been a positive, nothing but positive to have the kids. We both love our 2 boys dearly. They're the focus of our lives in terms of their well-being, and so it's been nothing but a positive addition. I think from a relationship standpoint, probably more this year than ever. We're as they've gotten older and mature, we're now still focused on them, but also focused on our relationship.
It's easy to lose sight of how close you once were. You know it's there, but you're not actively paying attention to that aspect of your relationship. So, as Carrie said, we're just starting to refocus on that, and it's been a nice experience. And I believe that because of the kids, it's stronger than ever. But it took some effort to get back to that point.
If I could have done anything differently, I probably would have engaged a couple therapists earlier to see blind spots that maybe we're not seeing as a couple, and that those things could have been corrected earlier. Kids are clearly a stability part of our relationship, but I think more importantly, we do have a tremendous amount of fondness and love for each other. So I think that all those things in combination keeps us together.
We're very compatible in terms of our worldview, our interests, and we do travel well together and enjoy many of the same things. Listen to your inner voice. I actually think that you know pretty much right off the bat whether or not you could actually be married to somebody. And I think you should listen to that voice and pay attention to it. I have to say that Carrie exceeded my expectations in every regard. Even more compassionate and brighter than I had expected.